Let's dig into the SKS. Specifically, we'll be looking at the Yugo SKS M59 66. This isn't a budget AK. It's a heavy, overbuilt, and uniquely capable machine that served as the backbone of the Yugoslav People's Army for decades. Today, we're diving into its history, engineering, and the legacy of the Yugo SKS, also known as the PAP M59 66. In the world of Cold War surplus, few rifles are as instantly recognizable as the Yugo SKS. While most of the Soviet bloc was churning out stamped receiver AK-47s, by the late 1960s, Yugoslavia, ever the independent rebel, was still perfecting a semi-automatic carbine designed in the 1940s. To understand why this rifle exists, you must understand the politics of the era. After World War II, Yugoslavia, led by Josip Broz Tito, was a communist state. But Tito wasn't interested in being a puppet for the Soviet Union. In 1948, the Tito-Stalin split occurred. This meant Yugoslavia was cut off from Soviet military aid. They had to become self-reliant. They looked at the Soviet SKS, designed by Sergei Simonov, and realized it was the perfect bridge between the bolt-action Mausers of the past and the selective fire future. The Yugoslavian engineers at the Zastava Arms factory began reverse engineering and adapting the SKS design. The result was the M59. It was nearly identical to the Russian version, but without one key feature. The Russians used chrome-lined barrels. The Yugoslavs didn't have significant domestic chromium deposits, so they skipped it, a trait that defines the Yugo SKS maintenance to this day. As for a breakdown of the materials and components of the Yugo SKS, the receiver and main components are manufactured from high-quality milled steel. The barrel is milled from high-quality carbon steel. As I mentioned earlier, since Yugo barrels are not chrome-lined, they require stricter maintenance and a thorough cleaning when using corrosive ammunition. The stock is typically manufactured from European beechwood or sometimes walnut or elm. The grenade launcher spigot is integrated into the muzzle and is made of hardened steel, and it's often left unblued or with a different finish. The metal parts are generally finished with a traditional durable hot blue, which is often lighter in appearance compared to the deep black of Russian models. And lastly, the knife-style bayonet, which was sometimes matte chrome plated. The Yugoslavian M59 66 variant is known to be heavier and built with a high standard of machining compared to other SKS variants. By the 1960s, the M59 was updated to the version we know best today, the M59 66. This is where the rifle gets weird in the best way possible. The most striking feature is a 22mm integrated grenade launcher fixed to the muzzle. During this era, Yugoslav infantry doctrine relied heavily on grenades for anti-armor and anti-personnel roles. To make this work, Zastava engineers added a gas shutoff valve. When you flip up the grenade sight, it automatically cuts off the gas flow to the piston. This prevents high-pressure gases from a blank grenade launching cartridge from cycling the bolt and potentially damaging the action, and puts all of the pressure and propellant into the grenade. This also turns the semi-auto rifle into a manual straight-pull bolt action. Now let's talk specs. The SKS uses 7.62x39, most notably used with the AKM platform. It's a short-stroke gas piston with a tilting bolt, and it has a 10-round fixed internal magazine which can be fed individually or fed by stripper clips. It feels more like a main battle rifle than a carbine when you're shooting it, but that's not to say it's difficult to shoot. On the contrary, it has a much lighter recoil than a full-power battle rifle. and it's a really nice, reliable shooter. Then there's the sights. The M59-66 features flip-up night sights. Originally, these would contain phosphorus paint and later tritium in some variants to allow soldiers to aim in low light conditions. Most surplus examples today have dead paint, but the physical flip-up hardware remains a cool mechanical quirk. The M59-66 wasn't just a parade piece, it saw brutal, extensive use during the Yugoslav wars in the 1990s. Even though the Zastava M70, their version of the AK, was the primary service rifle by then, the SKS remained in the hands of rear echelon groups, reservists, and various militias. Its accuracy, often cited as superior to the AK due to the milled receiver and longer sight radius, made it a favorite for designated marksman roles in urban environments. It survived the transition from a unified nation to a fractured region, proving its reliability in some of the harshest conditions imaginable. Identifying the markings on a Yugo SKS is like reading a military passport. Because Yugoslavia was not a member of the Warsaw Pact, their marking system differs significantly from the Ishevsk or Tula markings found on Russian rifles. On a Zastava M59-66, you're looking for a few specific clusters of information: the serial number, the arsenal marks, and the inspection proofs. The most important identification mark is a serial number, usually located on the left side of the receiver. Unlike Russian rifles that often have the year stamped clearly, Yugo rifles use a letter prefix to denote the year of production. Prefix letter A is reserved for original M59 non-grenade launcher series produced from 1964 to 1967. Prefix letter B is 1967, the start of the M59-66 production. Prefixes C, D, and E indicate 1968 to 1970. Prefix F, G, and H indicate 1971 to 1973. Prefixes I, J, K, and L indicate 1974 to 1978, while M, N, P, and R are the late 70s to early 1980s, and S, T, U, and V indicate the final run up to the 1989 production. Unlike Soviet stocks, which are often bare or have a single star, Yugo stocks are frequently serialized to the rifle. You should look for matching numbers. Check the left side of the buttstock. The serial numbers, including the letter prefix, should match the receiver. And while you're looking at the stock, it's very common to find trench art on these rifles, names, dates, or symbols carved by soldiers during the Balkan Wars. While not official markings, these can be considered highly valuable to history-focused collectors. On the ladder of the folding grenade sight, you'll see a letter T or K. K is used for anti-personnel fragmentation grenades, and T is used for anti-tank shaped charge grenades. For a Yugoslavian M59-66 to be considered a collector's grade or all matching, the serial number, including the specific letter prefix, must appear on all several key components. Unlike some other SKS variants where parts were often swapped during refurbishment, a truly original Yugo is a numbers matching machine. On a high-value Yugo, there are 6 areas to check for matching numbers and letter prefixes. The receiver, stamped on the left side, this is the legal serial number. The bolt carrier, stamped on the top or right side of the handle, and on the bolt, often etched or stamped on the top of the surface of the bolt body. On the magazine floor plate, stamped on the bottom of the fixed 10-round box, and on the stock, stamped into the wood on the left side of the buttstock. There are a few red flags to be aware of for collectors. First, electropencil. If the numbers match but look like they were scratched in with a vibrating pen rather than stamped, this rifle was likely refurbished at an arsenal. It's still a great shooter, but it's not factory original. And a missing grenade spigot. Some states or importers removed the muzzle device and replaced it with a muzzle brake. This significantly lowers the historical value. Because the SKS was imported into the US and Canada in massive quantities during the 80s and 90s at a very low price, sometimes as low as $75, it became one of the most common semi-automatic rifles in civilian hands. This availability led to its use in several notable incidents, most notably the 2017 congressional baseball shooting. An SKS was one of the primary weapons used in the attack on Republican members of Congress during a practice session in Alexandria, Virginia. James T. Hodgkinson shot 4 people. A 10-minute shootout took place between him and officers from the Capitol and Alexandria police before officers shot Hodgkinson, who died later from his wounds that day at the George Washington University Hospital. In the late 1990s and early 2000s, the ATF frequently cited the SKS as one of the most common rifles encountered by law enforcement. Among others, it was also involved in the 1998 Deadly Weekend in Alabama and several other high-profile ambushes of police officers during that era. So why do we still care about this heavy, non-chrome-lined 10-round rifle? Because the Yugo M59-66 is a tank. It's a piece of Cold War history that you can still hold in your hands. It represents a time when Yugoslavia stood between two worlds, forging its own path with steel and wool. Whether you love it for the grenade-launching novelty or its rugged reliability, the M59-66 remains the high-water mark of the SKS production. Thanks for joining the feast at the mess table today. If you're hungry for more, make sure you like and subscribe to help the channel grow, and we'll keep a spot saved for it.